love yourself so others can. We're coming on to Valentine's Day. This is Valentine's Sunday. And so often we turn our attention outward and we allow the idea of Valentine's to be a report card for our value. And the truth of the matter is, love comes from the inside out. And it is our job to be our own Valentine. There's a story I want to share with you about Sharif, who had saved his money and he was going to go buy himself a fine suit. So Sharif went to Omar the tailor and got himself measured up for a suit, and he went back for it. And Omar put it on him. And Sharif said, the sleeve's a little long here. And Omar said, oh, well, yeah, just kind of pull it down and then bend your arm like that. And Sharif said, well, yeah, but then it sort of pulls funny here in the back. And Omar said, well, just sort of pull it back up and sort of bend down. And then Sharif said, well, this pant leg, it's a little long. And Omar said, well, just kind of walk on your toe there. That'll make it fit just right. And so Sharif went out in the neighborhood. And he ran into a neighbor. And the neighbor said, you have a new suit. Who made that for you? And Sharif said, well, Omar made it for me. The neighbor said, Omar, he must be a fine tailor. And then the neighbor wandered off. Yeah, Omar must be a fine tailor to fit such a disfigured body as that. So we do that, don't we? To get ourselves to fit, we sort of construe ourselves in uncomfortable, awkward ways so that we fit in. So we are comfortable wherever we go, rather than attending into and attuning ourselves to what's the truth about us, how we came into this world. So I just invite you to settle into the suit that fits you and find a different tailor if it doesn't work for you. There's a story from the Talmud that I think is really appropriate also. When Akiba was on his deathbed, the rabbi was with him. And Akiba started crying. And he said, I have been such a failure. And the rabbi moved closer and said, why do you think you are a failure? And Akiba said, because I haven't lived my life like Moses. And I'm afraid. I'm afraid to greet God and tell him I haven't lived a life of Moses. And the rabbi said, God will only be displeased, Akiba, if you haven't lived the life of Akiba. So I think that's so important for us to know that we can't judge ourselves by the measure of others. We can only judge ourselves by our own measure. Being and doing and exploring who we are. And I talk about discovering yourself as the greatest last adventure Because until we know who we are and express our true God self, we're living an inauthentic life. We're living someone else's life. I've been reading Brene Brown's work, and she says this: our lives are a collection of stories, truths about who we are, what we believe, what we came from, how we struggle, and how we are strong. When we let go of what people think and own our own story, we gain access to our worthiness, the feeling that we are enough just as we are, and that we are worthy of love and belonging. We are worthy of love and belonging. And when we allow ourselves to know that, to express ourselves in the most genuine, authentic way, when we don't bend and move our body, bend and move our life, when we don't try to be someone or something that we are not, then we are able to own our life and own our stories. We're able to be our own Valentine and love ourselves genuinely, just the way that we are. We do not need to have approval or receive cards and letters and expressions of love from outside. It's only when we are in alignment with the truth of who we are, when we're absolutely in harmony and resonance with Spirit, that we can generate that love from within out. Approving of ourselves in the deepest, richest way. Gifting our essence to others once we absolutely know the truth of who we are. The universe needs you. The divine needs you. The universe can't be whole and perfect and complete without you. If you weren't here, you would create such a void that the cosmos would implode. Just in your own mind's eye, think of the number of people throughout your lifetime that you have touched, that you've interacted with, that you've had love relationships with. I'm not talking about romance. I'm not talking about lust necessarily. I'm talking about going to the grocery store and seeing someone, really seeing them. Having a one-on-one conversation from the heart with perhaps total strangers who are touched by your essence and by your being, who maybe step a little lighter, who perhaps have that same kind of conversation, that same kind of heart connection with others. And the ripple effect goes on. It goes from generation to generation. It goes from, what do they say, the 6 degrees of separation? One act of generosity and kindness from your authentic self, giving yourself permission to be the truth of who you are, the godness of who you are, touches the entire world. I call it the cosmic jello. You do this, and in Australia, they feel it. Literally. I think that the internet and YouTube is just such a wonderful explanation of that kind of touching people in ways that we never know. Some of it's good, and some of it's not so good. But we, each one of us, has the power, when we are genuine, and when we are authentic, and when we are truly our best self, to move the world. Literally. That's not just a theory. It is the truth. So what I would invite you to do this coming week, because it is Valentine's, take this time each day until Valentine's Day or beyond to really thank yourself, to love yourself, embrace yourself for the life that you have created for yourself. Because it is your creation. It is your work of art. Unless you've allowed yourself to take someone else's idea of who you should be and what you should be and conformed to a belief that you don't own, a belief that is not yours to express. So this week, be your own Valentine. Take the time each day to be genuinely grateful to yourself for the life that you are creating, the life that you have. To love yourself on that deepest, most authentic level. Because reminding you that the world would not be the same without you. Without your presence, truly the cosmos would implode. It's like It's a Wonderful Life. You know that story, and that's the truth. You have touched so many people. You have loved so richly. You've created a wonderful life for yourself. Be joyful about that. Take the week and instead of judging yourself or criticizing yourself, instead of having that conversation of the, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have done that, I shouldn't have said that, how could I have done that, blah, 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 you know the blah blahs, you've done it all yourself. Rejoice in who you are. Rejoice in your uniqueness. Rejoice in your essence of truth of who you are. So I've talked a lot about Tiger, and I'm not going to tell you any Tiger stories. I just want you to know that she was who she was. She was genuine and authentically herself. And she touched so many people. Sometimes in positive ways and sometimes in negative ways. But she was absolutely herself. And so I rejoice in that. And I bet you know someone who is so authentic that it makes you laugh. So genuinely themselves that it makes you laugh. We don't celebrate people for their perfection, I don't believe. I think we celebrate people for their humanness, for their unique essence. So I would encourage you and invite you to do that very same thing this week. Be your own Valentine. Celebrate your uniqueness. Celebrate your authenticity. Celebrate who you are. Because I love you just the way you are and just the way you are not. Namaste. I would invite the practitioners to join with me as we hold the consciousness of the room. And we had that celebration last week, and how wonderful our practitioners are, how strong and powerful they are. So I invite you to just feel that wrap itself around you. The gift of the practitioner's love. Join with me. As I turn within, as I allow myself to be in total, perfect alignment with the divine essence, the God that is. As I allow myself to acknowledge the unique expression that each present represents. As I allow myself to celebrate the community that Circle's Edge is. Acknowledging the collection of wonderful, amazing spiritual expressions. Each one present has their own personality, their own characteristic, their own divine expression of God. Each one walks with that intention that they were graced with, they were blessed with. And I celebrate the unique characteristics of this glorious congregation that so perfectly holds the heart of the divine, that represents spirit in action. And I hold in my heart the highest and best for our loved, beloved Harvey. Totally acknowledging what a perfect expression of Harviness he was and is, and how he greets everyone that comes in the door. I celebrate Harvey in his uniqueness, his divinity. I celebrate that Harvey is the best Harvey that he can be. And as I hold that vision for him, I hold that vision for each one of us, knowing that we are each the best, most divine expressions that we came here to be And that in this sacred holy place, we love each other without judgment, without criticism, without expectations of being something or doing something or behaving in particular ways. We allow God to show up perfectly in all that are here present, all that we encounter. And I step into the grace of that. I allow myself to know the truth of that allowing God. And so with gratitude, I absolutely know all is well. And I claim that for each of us. And I invite you to own that and claim it for yourself and for this community by saying, and so it is.